into the BOS system, but really what we're talking about is 3 steps to doing anything. You examine it, you bring forth the solution, and implement it. It doesn't have to be any more complicated than that, right? There are solutions to what it is that we're trying to accomplish here, okay? So we're going to move into our BOS system right now, which is the way that we operate our everyday business. The BOS system is the engine that runs our business. We earn the money we earn, we work the hours we work, we have the stress and the life balance we do as a result of the engine that is running our business. Everyone here has a BOS system, whether you realize it or not, okay? And so let me introduce to you how our BOS system is a little different. There's 3 parts to every BOS system. It's the DNA of people, the DNA of business, and the DNA of life. The DNA of people is personality masteries, really understanding who you're talking to and communicating to them the way they like to be communicated with. The 530 grid is the DNA for business. It's the roadmap. It's a system. It's simple, and yet it's endlessly, it's an endless journey, really, to find out how to help people in a process. We'll explain that in a minute. And then natural laws, the DNA for life. The things, natural laws, there's over 250 that have been discovered, and the natural laws are the things that tie the whole thing together. So that's just an overview of what we're going to do. So the first segment is going to be the DNA of people, and to do that we're going to bring up Dawn, and she's going to help us how to understand how this is going to help us have more profitable clients. Give it up for Dawn!
Hey everybody. Think about this if you would. You're in the middle of your work day. And whether you're on a ladder with a tool belt around your waist doing a construction job, or whether you're sitting at a desk doing sales and you have some data to review and you have an inbox full of emails to respond to, doesn't matter. Your phone rings and it interrupts your day. Do you answer it? Of course you do. It could be a profitable client, right? So you pick up that phone and you say hello, and it's a person that you know quite well, actually, and they begin to tell you what woke them up that morning, what the person across the street was doing, what they were thinking of before they called you, what went wrong, the conversation they had with someone last week, and they ask you, can you believe they said that to me? But they don't listen for your response. They go on and they tell you more of what's on their mind, what they still have to accomplish yet that day. And they ask you, what do you think? But again, they don't listen for your response. They just go on talking about themselves, and very little of it, if any, has anything to do with you. Finally, there's silence. The person stops talking. And you politely pick up the phone and say, good talking to you. Talk to you next week. Have a great day. Goodbye. Well, humbling for me to admit, and kind of sad, but I was that caller several years ago, calling my husband at work. And it happened on more than one occasion. And little did I know then that he really wasn't listening to many of my conversations with him, until one day my daughter went to work with her dad and heard Mommy call Daddy and saw Daddy put the phone on mute and continue working till Mommy stopped talking, and then picked up the phone and said, I love you, honey. See you tonight. Well, since then I've learned my husband's personality. He's a driver. He's task-oriented. He wants to get his work done when he's at work. I'm more an expressive, more people person. And I've been reading a great book lately by John Maxwell. And I'd like to share a couple things in his book. It's about connecting with people. And a lot of you have your own businesses. But I'd like you to think about what you do in your business. In John Maxwell's book, he quotes something from the owner of Gloria Jean's Coffees. He says, we aren't in the coffee business serving people. We're in the people business serving coffee. That's by Nabby Soleil. He's the owner of several Gloria Jean's coffee franchises around the world. And that just made me think, if you're selling insurance, are you really selling insurance? Is that really what the people want? Or do they want security? If you're selling real estate, are you really selling a house to someone? Or are you selling them a dream fulfilled or hope for their future? Think about that. Later on in John Maxwell's book, he points out an author and friend of his, John Cotter, who wrote a book called A Sense of Urgency. And in it he states, "For centuries we've heard the expression, great leaders win over the hearts and minds of others." Note that he didn't say great leaders win over the minds of others. And he didn't even say the minds and hearts. Hearts comes first. And if you want to win over another person, first win their heart. The rest of him is likely to follow. So when you're looking for those profitable clients, ask key questions. And don't be like I was on that phone call several years ago, but listen for the answers. Pay attention to your clients and what they need. Pay attention to what value you can bring them. And you'll find your friends will turn into profitable partners. Always look for opportunities to help others and bring something that makes sense to your client. I'd like you to take a few minutes to look at the handout that was given to you. I'd like to draw your eyes to box 10. In it, you'll see 4 shapes. And if you haven't already chosen one, I'd like you to look at it briefly now. Don't take too long, but which of those shapes appeals to you the most? If you chose the cube, you're analytical, and you most likely like details. Details can be important sometimes, but a lot of times they're not. If you chose the pyramid, you're a driver like my husband, and you're task-oriented, and you want to know what the end of the project is before you get there. You want to know what you're supposed to accomplish. But you might knock some people over on your way there, so you have to be careful. If you like the wavy line, you're an expressive like me. And you have lots of energy, lots of great ideas. But sometimes you have to hold back. If you chose the ball, you're an amiable, and you like to keep peace. You love it when everybody's getting along, and you like to know how everybody feels about everything. But you're the glue that holds masterminds together, so we need every single one of these personalities, and many of us are a combination of some of these. If you really had trouble choosing which shape you wanted, you liked, you might be called a chameleon, and you could ask someone who invited you here about that later. Then next to those shapes, there are some situations. I'd like you to look at those and read them to yourself and think about which causes you the most frustration. For me, it would certainly be conflict with others. And that's why I can't wait till tomorrow's event when Martin's going to share with us how to deal with conflict with others, because that drives me crazy. I can't stand it. I can't sleep if I have a conflict going on with someone. I have to resolve it before the sun goes down, or I don't get any sleep that night. But before I hand it over, just getting back to my husband's phone call, I hope you don't think that I'm still making those phone calls today. I've learned to think about why I'm calling someone, whether it be my husband, whether it be a client, whoever it might be. I think about that phone call before I make it, and I make it on purpose with a purpose. And I understand what personality that person is, and what they need to hear from me, and what I need to get from them, so that we can together, like we discussed last month, be profitable partners together. And profit doesn't always mean money. In my marriage, you know, it means a lot more than money. And I know that when my husband comes home from work, there's a time and a place if I need to vent and tell him all about my day, but it's not in the middle of his work day. He needs to get things done, and so do I. And I'm realizing, even though my biggest challenge is focus, I'm realizing how beneficial seminars like this And getting to know people like you and listening deeply and thinking in a different way is really helping me focus and get more self-discipline. So thanks.
Good job. So here's my question. How can learning to think differently help you attract more profitable clients? Do your clients find the most frustration in things that are out of order? Do they find the most frustration of being out of control? Do they find the most frustration in boring or not fun? Or is it conflict with others, as Dawn was sharing? Think about those things as you look at box 10 here on your sheet. That's really going to be important. So when you write down, if you were to write down your 10 most profitable clients, ask yourself the question, what causes them the most frustration? And if they are a profitable client, what did I do to alleviate that frustration and help them? Why are they a profitable client? Does that help? Okay?